welcome to the meeting of the Backbench Business Committee, where we're going to be considering applications from colleagues for debates in the Chamber and in Westminster Hall. Westminster Hall on Tuesday and Thursday, and the Chamber on Thursdays. And the first application is from Martin Wrigley on parking regulation, which is a request for a general debate on a Tuesday morning. Over to you, Martin.
Thank you very much, Chair. Specifically, this is about the operations of private parking operators. I think we've all had issues in our constituencies from people who have received outrageous fines. Recently, there was a lot of fuss in the news about someone who received, I think it was £100 fine for being 5 minutes late and getting a ticket.
Fine.
Talking about people that arrive get fined.
Well done, sir. Sorry. So, it turns out that the private companies operating such private parking areas aren't independently regulated. There are two separate organisations that they belong to. There are two separate means of complaining when you feel you have been unfairly treated in such a car park. It turns out that both of those organisations, or at least one of them, is owned and run by people who own and run car parks. So it's very much marking your own homework without an independent regulator. This is even more confusing since in 2019 Parliament passed an act that would set up an independent regulator for such private parking organisations, but failed to complete the process due to difficulties in the public consultation, having written a code of conduct that would have established a single independent parking regulator. We would like the opportunity for MPs to air the problems with private parking companies. We know that this is not a one-off. We've got some 50 plus MPs who have either expressed their desire to speak on this or seen private parking companies to complain about this or signed early day motions. So it's not unique and it's not a single constituency. I suspect it is widespread. We'd like to establish that and to establish the state of private parking industry in the country at the moment, as far as MPs are concerned, and put a message to Parliament urging them to government, urging them to complete the process for the 2019 bill to establish the regulator and to make it happen so that people aren't unfairly treated. We have the support of the Automobile Association and the Royal Automobile Club, AA and RAC, who are quite vociferous on this as well, and many, many cases in our inboxes. Might I invite Mr. Shanker to add any comments?
Thank you. Yes, so the reason we want this debate and ultimately calling upon government for a statutory code is because we think one is needed and needed really urgently. If I can just take a moment and explain a story in my constituency, which has had widespread publicity in Derby South and beyond. A lady called Rosie Hudson, who worked at a local store in Derby, parked her car, and she was being pursued by this company for £1,906 because she didn't pay her charges within 5 minutes. And the reason she didn't pay her charges within 5 minutes is because the machine in the car park wasn't working. So she then tried to get the app and pay by the app, and it took a few moments, more than 5 minutes. But the charges they were inflicting her or taking her to court for were £1,906. Data from the RAC Foundation says on average 41,000 parking tickets are issued a day, and each of those can be up to £100. So these are fines, not just parking tickets, sorry. So it's worth over £4 million a day, and that's why this is happening. So currently, as my colleagues just said, these private car park operators are then trying to regulate themselves. So they are absolutely setting and then marking their own homework, and that just needs to stop. It's not fair on the public. And following that story in Derby South and Even prior to me getting involved, colleagues in Darlington, Lola McAvoy, Abisam Mohammed in Sheffield have all experienced cases like this, if not worse, and it just needs us to collectively take some action to put an end to this, because it's a racket which is just being allowed to continue, and a very few companies are making a lot of money on this on the back of ordinary people.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Can I just, because this is a Tuesday in Westminster Hall, we have to be clear when we allocate it, it's the answering department that has to answer that week. So which answering department are you considering? Is it the transport, I would assume, or is it
I
another?
think the statutory code is under the Homes and Communities, MHCLG.
Is it housing, communities, and local government? Yes. Okay, right, fine. So if we were minded to offer you Tuesday the 22nd of April, would you accept that?
Yes.
That's the first day back after the Easter recess.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. Questions, colleagues?
Well, I'm fully supportive because I'm dealing with two cases at the moment, and you're absolutely right. They are impossible people to deal with. And it's the continuing interest charges and late payment charges and so on that mount up. Yes, so I'm very supportive, Chairman.
Okay. Anyone else? Any questions? Yes, Jonathan.
Likewise, these cowboys need to be dealt with. I just wondered if you've got any thoughts on whether the cost of that regulation and the subsequent reduction in revenue for these companies, which I don't bemoan the reduction in their revenue, but whether that might be passed on to consumers, is it worth?
I don't think so. I think they'll just have to accept that it's an end to what's perceived by many as a racket. I've got no objections whatsoever for charges to be set for people to legitimately park their cars. There's technology out there which could charge you literally to the minute you drove in and the minute you drive back out. And there's got to be other ways as well of doing this absolutely fairly. But, as the member across there just said, the letters that people get, the threatening tone of these letters, and then being pursued to go to court, and then sometimes just days before going to court, these companies are dropping cases. It's just no way to go on. And if these companies are losing revenue, I've got no sympathy whatsoever, to be honest.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Nope. Well, thank you very much. The clerks will be in touch with you shortly.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to the next application is from John Glenn and Marsha Dakova, but she's obviously not able to be here. And this is the value of churches and religious buildings to their communities, which we are suggesting that you may wish to retitle slightly. But over to you, John.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair, and thank you for the opportunity to present this application. Look, I represent a constituency of Salisbury with a large number of churches and obviously a cathedral, and I've taken quite an interest in various matters in this space since I've gone back onto the backbenches. And it's just occurred to me in conversations with colleagues across the House that a lot of people have got church buildings and faith buildings, so not just Christian churches, but other buildings that actually provide such a useful venue for community activities, for old people, young people, music, cultural events, and so on. And I've been in conversation with the second Church Commissioner, Marsha de Cordova, about various matters connected with the listed places of worship scheme. And I thought it would be helpful for us to have a debate, because there's places of worship and churches exist in virtually every member's constituency, and there's a great opportunity really to celebrate that, but also to focus on how we've had a change of use in some cases, and churches are sort of integral to the delivery of so many services. So I wrote out to colleagues, and we have quite a considerable list of 10 government backbench MPs, 4 Conservative, and then Lib Dem from the UUP and DUP. I think that suggests that even though more were coming in, that there would be a heavy demand for this. It may seem perhaps inconsequential subject with no sort of real purpose to it, but I think there is a real challenge in terms of the viability of these churches and places of worship and how they can establish themselves as a place where other local government and parish councils, etc., can come together to find a way of almost sometimes in rural constituencies provide the sort of security of tenure for going forward. So I think it would be really worthwhile. I think that we definitely fill 90 minutes, and I think colleagues would value it as a way of talking about places of worship and church buildings, and it will be a productive conversation that may then lead to specific actions and would assist Marcia de Cordova in her work as she tries to champion, in her case, the churches of Church of England.
Is there any time sensitivity in relation to this?
No, not really.
You mentioned the listed places of worship scheme.
No, the government have made their decision on that. There is an ongoing issue around. I know of people that have got works underway, and there's been some publicity about that, who are sort of were planning to retrieve some VAT and may not be able to now. That may come up in that, but my purpose is not really to focus on that, but to focus more broadly on the role of churches and religious buildings to their communities.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Just to declare an interest in this application, Chair, and I fully support it. I've got a constituency full of churches.
Excellent, thank you.
We could all declare the churches our constituency. But thank you for that. Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much, John.
Thank you very much.
We'll be in touch with you in due course.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for your time.
Next application is from Graham Downey for a debate on Parkinson's Awareness Month. So an application for a general debate in the Chamber. Graham, over to you.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you for allowing me to present this application to you today. April is Parkinson's Awareness Month. It is the fastest growing neurological condition worldwide, one for which there is no cure or treatment to slow or stop progress of the disease. All that can be done is a management of the symptoms. Part of the reason why it is so fast growing is that people are living longer lives, and you're actually seeing people diagnosed with Parkinson's after retirement in the 70 to 79 age bracket. However, there is a significant proportion of people in the UK living with young onset Parkinson's disease, and that is being diagnosed below the age of 50. So good to, at least on one measurement, I still consider myself young, but still of working age, but still needing tailored support for them to live a full and substantive life. There has only been one substantive debate on Parkinson's, and it focused on young onset Parkinson's disease, but that was as far back as 2017. This is a condition that we have known about for over 200 years and has over 153,000 people with Parkinson's in the UK right now. And every hour, 2 more people are diagnosed. That's a total of 18,000 every year. In my own constituency, we have over 200 people diagnosed with Parkinson's, and we know that this is something that occurs in mailboxes and across other requests for health support across the country and all parts of the UK as well. Skills and workforces are 2 critical areas that do need to be bolstered in order to effectively support people with Parkinson's, and it'd be really good to shine a light on that aspect of the debate as well, about how we make sure we're supporting people as well. Equally, it would be very good to challenge some of the misconceptions about what Parkinson's is and what it isn't. I've been working with the presenters of the Movers and Shakers podcast, Roly Kethlin-Jones and Jeremy Paxman, as well as with Parkinson UK as well, who fully support this application. That podcast has brought these issues further into the mainstream, but I think a debate in the Chamber to highlight some of the misconceptions around Parkinson's and shine a light on what Parkinson's means to people to have it and to the people who love them. People who don't die from Parkinson's, but life with it does need careful and sensible management and sensitive management. And this would be an opportunity to debate what a gold standard of care looks like for Parkinson's, including access to neurologists, therapeutic inputs like speech therapy and physiotherapy, and to discuss how the government support for research can be targeted and directed, as well as an opportunity for people, I'm sure, across the House to share their own personal stories and experiences they've had either with themselves or family members, and indeed with constituents as well, and different models from around the world where we can make sure that people with Parkinson's are living full lives and are getting the access to the support that they need. Thanks.
Thank you. I noticed you say that obviously April is the month. It also, of course, coincides with a large section of Easter recess. And it's unlikely we'd be able to allocate this until probably the end of the month. Would that still be acceptable?
Yes, I think the last week in April would actually be very suitable to us, so that's okay.
Well, obviously we're dependent on the government to allocate the time for us.
No, of course.
Okay. Yes.
I just would like to declare that I am the chair of the all-party group for Parkinson's in Parliament. My name's not on this debate as well, so I'll
no doubt you'll
reserve my opinion.
I would say we did. There was several MPs got in touch after the application had been submitted, who were willing to add their names. We were pushing a bit of a deadline to make sure they were submitted, but we did get a significant additional names in place as well.
Any other questions? No? Everyone happy? Well, the clerks will be in touch with you in due course. Thank you. Final application for today is from Adam Juggy, Callum Anderson, Polly Billington and Andrew Rosendale. And this is for a debate on St George's Day, and we've suggested retitling it to being St George's Day and English Affairs. Over to you, Adam.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for seeing Miss Vanderson and me. I bring apologies from Polly Billington and Andrew Rosendale, but they didn't want their absence to be misinterpreted as any weakening of their support for this application. And if you'll indulge me, I'd just like to apologise for not being able to appear before the committee last week when Miss Costigan did in my place, but I was, as it happens, in Northern Ireland, so hopefully demonstrating that commitment to the debate, and grateful for you allocating us time. Today's application is consistent, Chair, with the other debates marking the national days in our United Kingdom. The Northern Ireland one for St Patrick's Day is coming up soon. We've had St David's for Wales last month, and it only seemed fitting to apply for a debate to mark St George's Day and all that makes England great. The member for Romford and I are sponsoring this St George's Day reception in Speaker's House on the 23rd of April, and so a debate around that time I think would be a fitting opportunity for colleagues to feed into, as I say, the debate discussion both about our past, our present and our future, and obviously a warm invitation will be extended to all members of the committee to join us in Speaker's House. I would just like to note two further points. One, Miss Fleet, Mr Babatunde and Miss Huck, a close colleague of Mr Anderson's, have indicated they'd like to add their names to the application too, both cross-party and more colleagues, and I think it sort of speaks for itself, and I'll hand over to Mr Anderson if he has anything to say.
No, thank you. Thank you, Chair. I'd only concur with what Mr Drogi has just said. I think, given the success of the recent St David's Day debate, I think this is going to be a really great opportunity for members from across the House to reflect on England as a nation state, both past, present and future. I'm very aware that England as a nation means something a bit different to everyone, both from a national and a civic perspective. We've all got, I've got urban and rural parts of my own constituency, and I think members will be able to really showcase their own little corner of England and contribute and tell the House what it contributes to the nation. So I think it's a really good opportunity.
So, obviously, the 23rd, I think, is a Wednesday. So the nearest we could get to that would be the 24th. If the time is allocated to us as a committee, would that be acceptable?
That would be super if that worked, Chair. And can I just say one last thing? Speaking to colleagues, I'm going to be writing to the leader to suggest that she looks to, in government time, allocate debates for these national days in years to come. So, because I think there's clearly an appetite here. So it would be helpful, which then free up more time for the committee. But support for the application date would, I think, add credibility to that.
That's
request.
obviously up to the government. When this committee was created, there are a number of days that the House traditionally debated, and they were merged into the timing for the Backbench Business Committee. So it'll be interesting if the leader agrees to your request, because, as you say, as long as it doesn't reduce the number of days that we are allowed to allocate, that'll be fine.
Mr. Jogi is very persuasive.
Any questions, colleagues? No? Happy? A long list of speakers, and obviously a good initiative. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the clerks will be in touch with you when we know whether we've got the timing available.
Excellent. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Guys. That concludes the public business of the committee. The committee will now retire to consider the applications and determine which debates are given time and when. Order